Hello and welcome to our channel Daddy, Dad and Me. We became a family last summer when we adopted our son after starting our adoption journey back in 2018. As you can see from the channel, we have lots of vlogs to help prospective adopters and other adoptive families on their journey to parenthood. We have vlogged all about different aspects of our journey, from stepping foot right inside the adoption agency, the assessment process, and more recently, parenting little man. Here's today's vlog. Hi everyone, hope you are well. Welcome back to Daddy, Dad and Me. Thank you so much to those who've recently subscribed, because we've noticed a real kind of upturn in people joining. So wherever our videos are getting shown, or if people are talking about them or sharing them with family, friends, colleagues, etc., thank you so much. As I said before on many of our vlogs, all we want to do is raise awareness of adoption, the process, and just how, as obviously we're relatively new parents, and obviously now we're past the adoption order, yay, which I'll just talk about. Yeah, so it's a lengthy process. It was 3 years end to end for us. So as I've just said, yes, we recently had the adoption order granted, so that now means all the social workers, all the meetings, calls, you name it, it all ended, and in a nice way, I'm glad it did. It's a lot to deal with, comprehend, to manage amongst the day-to-day life, and obviously now that we can start moving around a little bit more as restrictions are easing and lifting, yeah, and we now feel like we can just move on as a family. Not that we couldn't before, but you haven't kind of got any of those interruptions, and the diary is so much freer. So yeah, today's video I'm going to be talking about the stage 1 workbook, and that is a video that has been requested by somebody. I do hope others find it helpful as well, and yeah, let's go. So the stage 1 workbook, so that is a workbook that is more often than not sent to you digitally, and you will complete it in stage 1, obviously as it says on the tin. It's I'm going to say probably around about 20-30 pages, and as I've covered in one of the videos before, stage 1 is around kind of information gathering. A lot of that information is going to be used by your social worker in your Prospective Adopters Report, so your PAR. I'm not going to sit here and show you, because they can be found online more or less quite easily, but the stage 1 workbook just gives your social worker a good understanding about you, whether you're just a single adopter or as a couple, and it kind of goes into a lot of different areas. So that's relationships, your lifestyle, how you were parented, how you see yourself parenting, just loads and loads of different things. What I would say is, when we completed them, I think, so they start off as a draft document when they're sent to you, so it's about up 30 pages long, as were probably about 40-45 pages by the finish. I do know of some adopters at the time, and this is each to their own, but I wouldn't go into a full War and Peace scenario. They're not looking for a book. They just want the important information, because you will talk about that in your assessment sessions anyway in stage 2. So kind of say what you need to say, but I would keep it kind of concise and I would say necessarily brief. You want to give enough information so they can glean and get what they need, but I wouldn't write reams and reams, because you could just fill it and then you're just going to feel like you're repeating yourself in stage 2. So yeah, and there's loads in there that they ask you, and it's all broken down into sections, and yeah, I think gave a good understanding, and it's just so the social worker, when they get it, they use all of that information to go into your PAR. And even talking now, when we saw our PAR, some of the information that we had put into the workbook didn't even go into the PAR. So again, so just be mindful of it. You don't have to write lots and lots to feel like you almost justifying why you're doing it. within that workbook as well, I can't remember if it is part of it, if it's like an addition to it, but it's also given a timeline. So right from your date of birth, every thing that happened up until almost the relevant, well, current day, and that is things like what schools you went to. And again, I wouldn't say like they need specific dates, but I'm talking months and years, houses you moved to, any deaths in the family. It could even be pets that have died, because again, as a child, that your experience of death could be quite, I wouldn't say necessarily traumatic, but you remember it. I remember when our first dog died. So that is how a lot of children are sometimes kind of experience death. So yeah, it's a huge timeline you can make, especially if you've moved around or there's been quite pivotal moments throughout your childhood or your adulthood, etc. And yeah, so that is really your stage 1 workbook. I'm pretty sure if you Google stage 1 adoption workbook, it is by Cora and Bath, you'll be able to find it, and it is just there almost just like a this is your story. So if you gave it to somebody, sorry, this is your life, not this is your story, it is a story. If you gave it to someone, they'd be able to understand kind of, oh, this is kind of what's happened in your life. And yeah, there's probably about 5 or 6 different chapters that it's broken down into, and it will ask you questions about it. So one of them is explain why your last relationship dissolved, and things like that, and about how what I liked as well is how you saw yourself parenting, and at that early stage it really made me think about it. So yeah, it just gives the social worker an insight. So once you hand that over, and obviously any questions they have from the workbook or any concerns, I'm sure they will obviously bring up with you. So yeah, that is your stage 1 workbook. I really enjoyed that part of it. Stage 1 will go and it will fly by before you know it. If anyone needs any help, or if anyone kind of wants any pointers, more than happy to kind of signpost or guide you anywhere that we can. Yeah, hope you're all well, and be sure to see you very, very soon. Bye.